Hello, welcome to another episode of Game Week Preview, an extra special one for this double game week on EPLW. I'm Joe. Alongside me is a man who needs an introduction. Honestly, it's in his contract. He's just told me I need an introduction. He's got all sort of sassy about it, but no, just kidding. It is of course Roz, aka Rosald Koeman. How you doing, Roz?
Good, man. Oh, I was called Koeman. Love it. Yeah, not too bad, man. Really good. What's this? Like 4 in a row. Did fancy Friday. Did Saturday morning. Sunday night. Nice.
Now Monday, and we've got plenty more where that came from as well, moving into the week. So we'll start off with a little rundown of these fixtures we're going to talk about. First up tonight, Everton Southampton at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, Man City Wolves at 8 o'clock. Wednesday night, you've got Burnley Leicester at 6 and Sheffield United Aston Villa at 6. Then Palace against Man United at 8:15. On Thursday night, it's Fulham Spurs at 6, West Brom Everton at 6, and then the big one, Liverpool Chelsea at 8:15. We're going to preview each one of those games now, and then we're going to predict the outcomes of those games. Subscribe to this channel, make sure you never miss a live stream again, and make sure you allow all notifications so you know every time we go live. If you're watching and you have any suggestions, just comment in the live chat. We'd love to hear your opinions. Also, make sure you tell us what you want to hear about on the pod. Tweet us at EPLW pod. Okay, first up, let's take a look at the predictions we made in the last show for the game week just gone. So, Man City West Ham, I said 2-1 to Man City. You said 2-0. We both got the scorers wrong, so I got 2 points for that. You got 1. West Brom Brighton, I said Brighton would win. You said a draw, so neither of us got any points for that. Leeds Villa, you predicted the Villa win, but didn't get the score or scorer, so you got 1 point. I got none. Newcastle Wolves, we both predicted a Wolves win, but it was a draw. And Neves, you predicted would be involved heavily, and he got the goal obviously for Wolves, so you got a point there. I got nothing. Palace Fulham, we both said Fulham would win that one with Madja and Mitro respectively getting on the score sheet. 0 points for each of us there. Leicester Arsenal, we both said Arsenal would win. You said 2-1, I said 3-2. So neither of us got the score. You said Saka, I said Vardy. Saka didn't play and Vardy may as well not have played. So we got a point each for that one. Spurs Burnley, we both said 3-0 Kane. Just one off there because Kane did score. So we got 2 points each. Chelsea Man United, you said 1-0 Werner. I said 1-1 Mount. I got the draw, so 1 point, but neither of us got the score, so no points for you. Sheffield United, Liverpool, you said 4-0 to Liverpool with Salah. I said 2-0 with Jota, so I got 2-0 for the score and the result, so that gave me 2 points and you won, which means so far this game week, you've got 7 points and I've got 8. Boom.
Right.
Close.
Nice.
Close, but no cigar. Okay. So should we get into these remaining fixtures of the game week then, Roz? Yes. First up then tonight, Everton, Southampton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Allen are both back in contention to start, having been named as subs for the Merseyside derby last time out on their return from injury. Yerry Mina and Jean-Philippe Gbamin are the only absentees. I really need to look up how to say his name properly. Sorry if I've offended anyone there. Southampton midfielder Oriol Romeu has been ruled out for the remainder of the season with a fractured ankle sustained against Leeds. And Takumi Minamino is out with a hamstring strain. They join Kyle Walker-Peters, Theo Walcott, Ibrahim Diallo, Will Smallbone and Michael Obafemi on the sidelines. So quite an injury crisis for Southampton, and personally, I expect Everton to walk this one. What do you reckon?
I think this one will actually be quite tight. I mean, it's with Everton, they sort of surprised a lot of people at Anfield. They've got Allen and Calvert-Lewin back, but they're the kind of side, I think they'll struggle to get a European place. And they're kind of the side this season where, they had an amazing start, and now when they can't actually kind of get up for a game, if it's not quite a game the size of, say, a Merseyside derby. I've got a funny feeling this one will be a draw, actually.
Okay. What are you saying then, prediction-wise, and who's your main man?
I'm going to go for let's go for a 1-1 with Calvert-Lewin to score. I reckon.
Oh, so you reckon a draw? Interesting. I think Southampton's form is just so diabolical. They're the worst form team in the league at the moment, and I think, like you say, Everton are a bit hit and miss. but I fancy them, especially with the welcoming back of DCL and Allen. So I'm going to say 2-0 Everton, and I reckon Calvert-Lewin as well to be on the score sheet. Safe bet, right?
I like it. I mean, you've also got to bear in mind that I'm behind you. I'm 7, you're 8. So I need to take a few risks, you know.
This is true. This is true. How could it pan out in this next game then? Let's look at Man City Wolves. Man City have no new injury concerns for the visit of Wolves, with squad rotation expected. Obviously, the rotation game that Pep likes to play. Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, Joao Cancelo and Aymeric Laporte, they were all rested for the win over West Ham on Saturday. So they're kind of expected to return. And Wolves will be selecting from the same squad that drew at Newcastle. Willy Bolly is back in training but still unavailable, along with Daniel Podence, Raul Jimenez and Fernando Marçal. I heard on the radio earlier, someone was saying, if anyone could ever do the quadruple, it would be Man City. And it's hard to disagree with that right now, but we all know that football is a harsh mistress. I don't see Wolves being the team to upset the apple cart tonight at the Etihad, though. What do you reckon?
Not at all. I think if the run comes to an end, we saw with Liverpool last season, I think the one that kind of took their Invincibles hopes away were actually Watford, who got relegated that season. So it could come out of sort of a result that we kind of expect them to get. I don't think it'll be this week. I think it'll be comprehensive from City. It's interesting what you said about the quadruple. I think that when you compare their starting 11, you look at kind of the great sides that haven't gone on to do it. So you look at Arsenal's Invincibles, you look at Man United's treble winning season, Man United's 2008-9, 7-8.
Yeah.
Double winners, you know, the great sides. I would say the starting 11s, you know, might not be maybe on a par with that, but not necessarily better. What City have at their serious advantage is just the squad depth. It's absolutely remarkable how, you know, they can put a run like this together without Aguero and the Belgian Emil Smith-Rowe and Kevin De Bruyne. Now those guys are back, I fully expect them to increase it. And also,
it's funny, isn't it?
26 is the record.
26, Moz said yesterday, didn't he?
26 record, and
they're on 20 at the moment.
Game.
This would be potentially their 21st win on the spin.
Right.
It's funny what you say about like now De Bruyne and Aguero are back. I expect them to, and you're like, you sort of naturally want to say, I expect them to kick on or push on, but they don't need to push on or kick on. They're doing just fine, but they will just become more lethal, surely. That's why, I mean, my prediction for this one, it's got to be 3-0 City. With Kevin De Bruyne as a feature, you saw how much the game revolved around him against West Ham. And, I mean, having him back, maybe that was what made Pep able to rest 4 or 5 of his big stars. And another point, actually, when you say starting 11, with City, we have to sort of consider it as a starting 22 or something, don't we? It's like they have coverage in every single position. So, yeah, I'm going 3-0 De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, like, you know, if they had the Champions League final tomorrow, is there someone in the country that could actually predict their starting 11? Say they were playing Bayern Munich or PSG tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, what is their starting lineup? And usually say that's against a side. You know, the manager doesn't know his best starting 11. With Pep, he could kind of roll the dice and get a world-class 11 out there. I'm going to go for 2-0 City. And let's go for the guy you said last week. Let's go for Joao Cancelo. Because I'm sure he'll feature after missing that game at West Ham.
Yes, yeah, he was rested for that, and he's been a pivotal figure. Do you know what? Just want to make a quick point. How good is it really for the league as a whole to have the title? We're talking about the titles done. You know, it's literally just turned March, and you know it happened last season with Liverpool. They ran away with it. Obviously, last season became a very disjointed season. It could have been even more ridiculous for Liverpool last season. But what we're seeing in recent years is, okay, it's not the same team winning every year like in France or Germany, but it is a runaway situation. And that's kind of disappointing for the league as a whole because you want it to go to March, end of March, April, maybe even May. You know, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I much prefer, sort of the 2010s, that kind of period, I guess. Lots of people are saying that City have absolutely ruined English football because, actually, I was talking to someone about this the other day. When I was growing up, it was sort of that Man United were buying the league, Chelsea came in for Abramovich and they bought the league. If you look at the squad that Chelsea bought, you're looking at the likes of Didier Drogba from Marseille for about 15 million. You're looking at Paulo Ferreira, Ricardo Carvalho. They're not anywhere near the stature. I know they just won the Champions League with Porto, but they weren't sort of the same caliber of player. I can think of, I know they spent the most money on players out of anyone in that period. I can think of 1 year where Man United literally bought the league as opposed to kind of built a squad and just bought sensibly. And that was when they bought Robin van Persie from Arsenal and literally bought last season's top goal scorer. I think if anyone's sort of guilty of buying the league side the sport, 7 fullbacks all for about 50 million each, and that kind of thing. I personally don't like it. But like you were saying, it is a different side each season.
Yeah.
And I can't. When was the last time a league was won twice in a row by a team? Was it Man City under?
I
It wouldn't have been, would it?
I think. I mean, I could check this quickly, but you'll have to buy me some time. But I'm pretty sure it would have been Ferguson, would it?
Would it have been Ferguson in 2009, 2010? No, I think we're looking back in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's two. I mean, United won 3 on the spin: 06, 07, 07, 08, 08, 09.
Right.
Chelsea have not done it back to back. City haven't. Oh yeah, City 17, 18, and 18, 19. Of course. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it was City.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll tell you the only thing about it is whether it makes us more competitive. There's the whole thing in Scotland where Rangers and Celtic. I remember when Celtic were kind of beating Barcelona at the Nou Camp when they had that kind of strong competition. And Celtic in Europe have done absolutely nothing since Rangers kind of plummeted. I think we need that competition to kind of make our sides good in European competitions. And I think that's actually shown in the Champions League over the last 5 or 6 years, excluding, of course, Tottenham and Liverpool when they both got to the final.
Very true. Yeah. Okay, let's park that one and move on to Wednesday night then. Burnley against Leicester City. Burnley coming off the back of that 4-0 loss at Tottenham. And Leicester coming off the back of a loss also in North London. Well, not in North London, but against Arsenal, losing 3-1. There's only one man to kind of talk about here. I mean, well, no, that's a lie. The angle here surely is are Leicester going to just have a little dip now like they did last season, maybe not cut it into the top 4, and it'd be disappointing. And, they're unlucky with the injuries. Where do you see Leicester going?
For sure. I think they're kind of almost the opposite of Sheffield United in that they're losing players and have done over the last few weeks, even with Vardy out for a couple of games. They're losing their creative players. They're losing their attacking players. They've got a really solid rock there with whether it's Wesley Fofana in the first half of the season, whether it's Johnny Evans, and whether it's Soyuncu. Brendan Rodgers has done a really great job in bringing in young fullbacks like Luke Thomas and James Justin as well. Their back line looks absolutely solid. They've got the legs in the field, but it's just whether they have enough creativity to break down a team like Burnley, who have just come off a 4-0 spin. So I'm sure Sean Dyche this week is going, clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet. Stay rigid. Let's get back to what we do best. You know what? Again, just because I'm behind you in the points and I need to take a risk, I'm going to go for a 0-0.
You're going to go 0-0. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I mean, I'm taking a bit more of a risk. I'm saying 2-1 Burnley. I think, and let me explain that. So Vardy not firing. He's their top scorer with 12. Next on the scorer list is Barnes with 9. Next is Maddison with 8. You see where this is going. And after that, it's Yuri Tielemans with 6. Iheanacho's not showing up. Like, I don't think Leicester have got enough going forward. I can actually see Burnley winning this and potentially keeping a clean sheet. They'll play Leicester at their own game, get them on the break. And it's the kind of game that's just come at the wrong time for Leicester and at the right time for Burnley. So I'm going 1-0 or 2-0 Burnley. What should I say? I'm going to go 2-0 Burnley. Big shout with Chris Wood. You're saying 0-0, so I'm assuming you want to choose some sort of defensive player to be the standout sort of man of the match.
I will. I'm going to go for... I'll give you an easy spelling this week. I'll go for Ben Mee.
I was fully expecting you to say James Tarkowski then. Okay, then, on to the next game. Sheffield United, Aston Villa. Sheffield United coming off the back of a 2-0 loss to Liverpool. Aston Villa winning away at Leeds 1-0. And, as we spoke yesterday, we talked a lot about Villa's defence and praising them. And to keep a clean sheet at Leeds is quite a feat. Martinez in goal. And Mus had Martinez in goal, didn't he, in his team of the season so far. And he had, was it Matty Cash or Target?
It was Matty Cash,
Cash. Villa... I don't know what it is about Villa. They're sort of slipping under the radar a bit. I think it's because they're a couple of games behind everyone else. And they've got a false position in the table. The pressure's completely off them, I feel. And this might be another one of those games where they just go and get the job done, get the 3 points and get out of there. How do you see it playing out?
Exactly like you just said. I think that Sheffield United, what was it Roy Keane said earlier in the week with Sheffield, Liverpool? If you can't beat Sheffield, you should retire. Which is kind of taken out of context a lot. He's got knocked for it a lot. He was sort of saying very specifically this season, Sheffield United, with all their injuries, they've played, I think they've lost 20 times this season. In those games so far, they've only actually scored 15 goals, which is, absolutely shocking at this stage of the season. I don't think they'll have enough for goal threat. I think that, as we said, Villa's defence, Tyrone Mings, Matty Cash, Matt Target, and of course, Emi Martinez as well. They're missing Jack Grealish, but I think unlike Leicester, they've actually got enough creativity. I think El Ghazi got the goal.
Yeah. Got
the goal at the weekend. They've also got the likes of El Mohammadi and Ollie Watkins. Yeah, so I'm going for a Villa 1-0 win.
Yeah. And who's going to be your main man? Is that going to be Ollie Watkins leading the line, or do you see something a bit different happening against Sheffield United?
Let's think, for El Ghazi, let's go for is Traore fit? I think he is.
Well, as far as I know.
Traore or let's go for, Traore, I think.
Traore. Okay, so you're saying Villa to win 1-0 with Traore. I've actually gone for 1-0 Villa as well. But I'm saying Barkley. I think Barkley is going to be the man, the dynamo in midfield here to unpick the lock. Sheffield United, as we know, even though they've got a lot of injuries, they're a very well-organised team and they're a very hard-working team. And I think without Grealish, someone in that attacking midfield area has got to step up for Villa. And I hope it's Barkley. Should we get on to the next game then? So now we're looking at 8:15 kickoff on Wednesday night. It's a reasonably large affair between Crystal Palace and Manchester United. Last time these two teams met, Palace won 3-1 at Old Trafford. Townsend scored 1, Zaha got 2, and Donny van der Beek got the 1 for Man United, which seems odd. But how do you see this one playing out?
I think that was the first game of the season, wasn't it? It was fairly sure that was both teams' first game of the season. I've watched both Crystal Palace's last 2 games. So there was the draw against Fulham last time. I think Fulham missed an opportunity there, really. Palace didn't really offer anything in a fairly dull 0-0. And before that, the huge derby against Brighton, and I don't think they offered anything in that game apart from two brilliant finishes. But they were only 2 touches in the opposition box. I think that would actually play into Palace's hands, that they're clearly just happy to kind of sit back and play for a grab draw. The only kind of opportunities that Man United got against Chelsea in that 0-0 were on the counter-attack. They're definitely a team without someone like Edson Cavani up, like leading the line. All they're looking to do is kind of get teams on the break. So I'm gonna go. Again, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna go for a 0-0.
Interesting. This is kind of taking me back to the Burnley Leicester prediction. You're going for a 0-0. I'm going for a Palace win.
Whoa.
Just to keep things interesting. No, Palace turn up in the big games. Regardless of the fans being there or not, they do seem to put in better performances against the big 6. I wish I could reel out a bunch of stats to back that up right now, but I haven't had time. And well, if you want to contribute to the channel, by the way, and you're watching, you can head to patreon.com/Joe Carter EPLW. There is a link in the description down below. We would really welcome your support. It will give us more time and better quality equipment and output and all that. Anyway, yeah, I'm babbling on. I reckon Palace are going to win 1-0. I reckon Benteke's back after his massive goal in that massive game against Brighton last week. I think he's back. The mammoth derby, the greatest derby of Premier League history, where Palace beat Brighton. And like you say, I think United looking on the counter-attack. Bruno Fernandes has been quiet for a couple of weeks now. He's not really doing it. Maybe he's a bit tired. I don't know. But I can see Palace just sitting on it, and nicking a goal. And we're probably with an XG of something like 0.01 for Palace and 50 for Man United. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know how I like my XG. The other thing to consider, I think Roy Hodgson has about 86 years more experience managing than Solskjaer.
Yeah.
It might be close to sort of 120, but he's managing for a very long time. So. The wily old fox, Roy Hodgson.
He is indeed. Who's your man of the match in that one? Who's going to be the main man?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna go. Oh, you're gonna love me for the spelling here.
Oh god, here we go. Go on.
The man that's gonna keep Bruno Fernandes quiet is gonna be Luka Milivojevic.
I'm just gonna put Milo. How about that? I think that's what the Palace fans call him affectionately. Yeah, Milivojevic, big guy, big game. Could play out nicely for you there. Let's get on to Thursday night then, and Fulham host Tottenham Hotspur at Craven Cottage at 6 o'clock. Last time these two teams met was 13th of January, not that long ago. It was 1-1, and Fulham were getting that result. They were starting to put some results together. Spurs were starting to flail a little bit, but top scorer Harry Kane fit again. Second top scorer is Son, obviously. Kane's on 14, Son's on 13. But Roz, tell me, who is Tottenham's third top scorer?
That's a very good question. Let's see. Is it Mora?
Okay, so there were 3 possible answers. Okay, so Kane's on 15, Son's on 14. There were 3 players on 3 goals. Mora is one of them. The other 2, Ndombele, and the other one, Gareth Bale.
Really?
So that kind of shows how heavily reliant Mourinho's been on Kane and Son this season. Do you see Bale having an impact again, like he did against Burnley yesterday?
I wonder if his legs are good enough for 2 games in a week. Would be the only thing.
We shall see.
I don't know at what point he got subbed off in the Burnley game, but you'd hope that he starts just so we can kind of kick on. We were saying in the last episode, really nice to see the Gareth Bale that we all kind of know and love I think you've got to look at Fulham's defensive record going into this. Of course, we could say that Burnley are sort of notoriously kind of well regimented. Fulham, I think, have kept something like 6 clean sheets in their last 8 or something ridiculous.
They've got
since
great form.
the arrival of Anderson on loan from Lyon, I think he's been absolutely superb. Ola Aina, I thought, looked just not at this level at the beginning of the season. I thought if there was one player in that Fulham team that was clearly a championship player, it was him. He's gone on to prove us all wrong. I think he's been outstanding. I still think Spurs will win it, but it won't be by 4-0. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Spurs victory. And let's go for Harry Kane. That's boring there.
Well, as usual, when it comes to Spurs, we've both got exactly the same prediction. I'm also, I mean, it's hard to look past that. I mean, Fulham been doing great, but Tottenham might be a bit too much of a big ask. But on Fulham, let's have a quick chat about how they have distanced themselves from relegation, potentially. And they've also kind of dragged in Burnley, Brighton and Newcastle, finding themselves in that relegation conversation now. You know, Burnley 28 points, Brighton 26, Newcastle 26, Fulham 23. Surely that's some motivation for Fulham, isn't it? To put together, to keep pushing on this run, put together a few more good results. And we could see, I wanted to say this last night on EPLW, but didn't get around to it. I reckon Newcastle could go down. You know, without Callum Wilson, without Almiron, I think there's one other player. I think Lascelles is out as well. Some big players for Newcastle missing, and depending on how long their injuries are, you know, how long their layoffs are, that could really play into Fulham's hands. I reckon Fulham will stay up and Newcastle will go down. There, I said it.
Bold prediction. I think the one thing that will kind of take away from this season and also the back end of last season, therefore the effect of COVID-19 on the Premier League, and actually football all around the world really, is just a massive lack of consistency.
Yeah.
Can you have a massive lack? Is that an oxymoron?
I think it might be.
It'll get pretty meta there. You know, no sides at the top besides Man City have really been as consistent as they have been in previous years, and actually no sides in the bottom. You've got 3 that kind of started incredibly poorly, and you're looking at teams like Brighton and Newcastle and Palace. They're actually in danger of getting dragged down there just because they haven't been. Those teams are very fortunate that so far in the season there have been 3 teams that have been worse.
Yeah.
This is, it's interesting. I mean, I said a couple of episodes ago that all Fulham need to do is match Newcastle's results and beat them on the last day, because they've got them on the last day. They've got, I think, goal difference, which is 6 better than Newcastle's. You were talking about Newcastle's absentees, right? One huge guy that's back now is Alan Maximan.
Yep.
But actually, I'd like to talk about another inclusion, which I think will have a huge impact on their relegation scrap, which will be they've got Steve Bruce, who I just think is I never know what his game plan is.
Yeah.
And I think actually he tends to be a manager that kind of does. He plays quite negative football, and he tends to do better at a side like Wigan or Birmingham City. Even when he was at Villa and had a job where he was kind of being expected to be promoted, he played incredibly negative football. And the only thing that kind of got into that playoff final was the fact that he just had far better players and spent more money. I just don't think he's a particularly good manager, to be honest. And he's also not exactly the kind of guy that can kind of rile you up one. Newcastle have kind of almost fallen asleep. They've gone, right, we're safe. Yeah. And then gradually sort of been dragged down there. They might kind of be caught napping and find themselves, you know, wake up going on the last day. Christ, we need to get a draw or beat Fulham, who are going to be more than riled up for it because they had such a shocking start. They've got all the kind of momentum going their way. So I don't think it's a pretty bold prediction. I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Fulham won't quite have enough. But I'll tell you what, if you're right, and Fulham go down, if Newcastle go down, that'd be 3 relegations for Mike Ashley with a club the size of Newcastle.
Yeah.
Which is, I would say, potentially the worst Premier League owner for a long stint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever.
Yeah. I think that's a fair comment, Roz. Okay, we're going to get on to Thursday's second game, and it's a team we've already covered. Everton visiting West Brom. Last time these two teams faced each other back in September, Everton beat West Brom 5-2. Calvert-Lewin got a hat-trick. James Rodriguez was on fire. I remember that game, actually. Keane scored. Diangana and Matheus Pereira for West Brom at Goodison Park in that game. That was a really open, attacking game of football. I think Kieran Gibbs got sent off. I remember that one well, actually. But, of course, Slaven Bilic was in charge then. Will it be as open and as hotly contested and as attacking with Big Sam now at the helm? What do you reckon?
Was it his first? It was certainly his first clean sheet victory in West Brom's last game, which is what you'd expect from a Big Sam escape project, isn't it?
Yes.
That you kind of get the defenders scoring the goals, like your Carl Bartley's. You keep it rigid at the back, and you get a little bit of added controversy with that free kick that never was. I think that, again, they're just going to have too much for them. I feel like I say that for every prediction when it's kind of seems like an obvious result. Everton are just a better side, better manager. I think that there wasn't really a kind of new manager lift as there often is with Big Sam.
I mean, you say that, but like the way I see it is that, they've got 2 clean sheets in their last 2 games, 180 minutes of football without conceding. Right. So obviously the 1-0 against Brighton and then the 0-0 with Burnley. And before that, they conceded 1 against Man United and 2 against Spurs with Son and Kane scoring. So, they've only been breached in the last 4 games. They've only been breached by Kane, Son and Fernandes, Tottenham and Man United. I reckon their defence is where the lift has come in. And that is very much Big Sam, isn't it? And he's getting them organised, and he's hoping that he can continue that streak. I don't know. I fancy West Brom to get something out of this. I fancy a 0-0 or a 1-0 maybe. I don't know. I just fancy it. And seeing as I'm winning, I'm going to take a little gamble. I'm winning in our little predictions war. I'm saying 1-0 West Brom. I'm going to say 1-0. And I reckon it's going to be that man, top scorer, Matheus Pereira, 5 goals this season so far. He's got as many goals as James Rodriguez this season. What do you reckon? You reckon Everton will win this one, do you? Or are you changing your tune now? I've gone for a win, West Brom win.
No, I think I'm going to take a gamble. Well, it's not a gamble. If you're taking a gamble, I'm definitely going to stick to my guns and say that it's going to be a 1-0 Everton victory with Dominic Calvert-Lewin to score. I have to say, once these results if you kind of look down on them, they've got to be like the most backwards, ridiculous results we've ever predicted. I mean, people are going to think that we were like drunk on this show or something.
Just wait until Thursday night's EPLW when we can be like, see, told you so. We are clever and we know what we're talking about. Honest. Plus we enjoy it. If you like what you're seeing, we've got one more match to go through. But before we do that, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're seeing. Give the video a like, get in the comments and have your say. And you can follow us on Twitter at EPLW Pod. You right there, Roz?
I'm just thinking that...
I just looked over and you were like... You okay?
No, I was just thinking that we know what we're talking about. Honest should be the new official slogan of the channel.
And we never got to the bottom of whether our viewers, our subscribers, are known as the Weeple or the EPL Weeklings. I don't know.
I think we should do an online vote or something.
Let's do some sort of online vote.
Decide. Democracy.
Head to our Twitter then, and we'll put up a vote straight after this show. Head to our Twitter, and we'll pin a tweet with the vote in. Okay, EPL Weeklings or the Weeple. No, Weeple. Get on there, follow us. vote, and we'd love to know what to call you guys, because we love having you along every time we do a pod. Okay, on to the headline act then this week. 8:15 p.m. on Thursday night, Liverpool host Chelsea. Before we go into this one, Roz, another little bit of trivia for you on the top scorer front. I gave you one on Spurs earlier. Do you remember? Okay, I want you to tell me who are Chelsea's top 3 scorers. I'll tell you how many goals they've got. Okay.
Yeah.
First place has 6. Second place has 5. Third place has 5.
Okay. I'm gonna go for Tammy Abraham.
Are you looking at this or something on the screen? It looks like you're looking at it.
Hand to him, I would have had to type that out, surely. just got my general intents.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tammy Abraham.
Tammy Abraham.
What, number 1, 2 or 3?
Kurt, with 5 goals, I'm going to go for Kurt Zuma.
No, Zuma's on 4.
He's not, he must have like 3 or 4. Okay.
You got Abraham, top scorer, on 6. Zuma's on 4, along with Giroud and Mount. But there are 2 players on 5 who you haven't mentioned.
Timo Werner.
Yeah, he's one of them. And the other one
is going to be...
Shall I give you a clue?
Jorginho.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Jorginho?
You missed an amazing clue there. I was going to do Jorginho's penalty run-up. Don't worry. I won't do that.
Can you do it anyway?
Okay, hang on a sec.
I think that's something the Weeple would like to say. Actually, go to our Twitter for, I think, one of the last shows, I always upload like a picture with whatever it is. And I found this picture of Bruno Fernandes, which is brilliant because it's perfectly in focus. And it's when he's a good, like, I don't know, like 2 yards, 2-3 yards off the floor and he's mid-jump before taking a penalty. Kind of looks like he's flying. You have to click on it to kind of see it in all its glory. But head to our Twitter and do that. It's just a great photo.
At EPLW Pod. EPLW Pod on Twitter. Go have a look. Like it. Retweet it. So, Liverpool-Chelsea. Let's get back to planet Earth for a second. Liverpool-Chelsea, 8:15 on Thursday night, closing out this mammoth game week. The last time these two met was back in September. Liverpool won at Stamford Bridge 2-0. Sadio Mane getting both goals in the 50th and 54th minute. Where do we go with this one? So Liverpool, off the back of their 2-0, unconvincing 2-0 win at Sheffield United, shall we say. Chelsea remain unbeaten in the league under Thomas Tuchel. Off the back of 2 draws. They drew with United. They drew 1-1 with Southampton. I don't know. The game before that, they beat Newcastle. The game before that, they beat Sheffield United. The game before that, they beat a sort of flailing Spurs. And the one before that was against Burnley. Chelsea have Tuchel, for all the stats and for all the 85% possession and 59 shots on target and 100 XGs per game that Tuchel actually comes out with. He's not impressing me yet. Honestly, he's not.
Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, when you look at the results, that is the one thing that matters. And he's not doing it.
I think that he said something, was it before the last game, about how he's kind of, it's like he's trying to teach people a new song. And it's like, kind of have to learn the lyrics, you have to learn the music, it's kind of a new way of approaching something.
Yeah.
I think if you draw that to a parallel with Liverpool, where it kind of looks like the most creative players, and it has done for a while, just out of ideas. You know, the guys you usually rely on in kind of creating that flair. Right, fullbacks with Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold both look kind of out of ideas. The front three, you know, possibly the greatest front three in the world at one point in the last couple of years. Just like you said, the win against Sheffield United was scrappy. I mean, the second goal, the Firmino one, it kind of took a deflection. It just doesn't convince me at all.
Yeah.
I think the results were too cool. I know you've read them out. I think the performances have been better than the results. They've kind of, in general, been kind of in control. And I think he's kind of trying to learn his best side. Ben Chilwell started the last game. Marcus Alonso came in firing. On the right, Reece James got subbed on at half-time for Callum Hudson-Odoi. So I think he's still trying to figure out his best side. I think the players that have stuck in the side from the Lampard team have definitely improved. Kovacic has looked like a much better player. Same with Jorginho, I feel. He's kind of given them a bit of a backbone and a spine, a bit of strength there in the middle of the park. And also, I ranted about Frank Lampard so much, so I'm going to look really silly if Thomas Tuchel doesn't do bits for me. So I'm going to keep the faith in Tuchel. And yeah, I think they're always learning new ideas each week. I think Liverpool just look flat out of ideas. It will be, I'm assuming, Adrian in goal again with Kabak, who hasn't impressed me, alongside probably Nat Phillips. If you put those guys against the pace of Werner or the kind of expertise of Olivier Giroud, who's still doing it and probably Arsenal's biggest regret of the last 5 years, I imagine.
Wow, yeah. I mean, if I could sum up this episode, you've told me how good Emi Martinez is, how good Olivier Giroud is, how good Robin van Persie was, and we should never have sold any of them to rivals. I know, I get it. And yes, I've been triggered, and yes, you've got me. Thank you very much. Right.
I wasn't trying to. That's great. I'm triggering people when I'm not trying to. That's good. I'm doing it in my sleep now. No, I think that I think Chelsea will have too much. For Liverpool, I'm gonna go for 2-1 with. I'm gonna do a Joe. I'm gonna go Mason Mount.
2-1 to Chelsea with Mason Mount. Yeah,
Mason Mount.
I'm literally writing M-A-N-T, man. So quick one. Mus has got in the comments. He said we are. Well, this is based on the Weeple versus Weaklings argument. He's stuck his oar in. He says we are Weeple. This is the Weeples show, and Joe Carter is the Weeples champion.
Wow to the Weeple.
Wow to the Weeple. Oh my god, where are we going with this? Gee, right, okay. So from one wow to another, how about my prediction for Chelsea Liverpool? I am really stuck on this one. Liverpool, whilst unconvincing against Sheffield United, that kind of was the kind of result they needed to get, back on a roll. And I think Chelsea a little bit stuttery, couple of draws. It's such a tough one to call, Roz. I'm literally going to do this one on the fly. They couldn't beat Southampton, and they couldn't beat Man United when Man United didn't look interested. Oh, I'm going to go 1-1. I don't think they'll beat them. I'm going 1-1, and the only thing that is guaranteed in life is that Olivier Giroud scores in big games. So I'm going to go for 1-1 and Giroud to be the man, as he would say. As I probably just offended anyone French who's watching. Sorry about that. My apologies. Okay, if you've enjoyed what you've been watching, this has been the EPLW game week preview for this midweek set of fixtures tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. All the Premier League action we bring to you. On Wednesday night, you can catch myself and Roz alongside Ronan as we look at Everton's greatest Premier League players of the era. That should be a really interesting one. We did Newcastle's one last week. Go and check that out on the channel. Really interesting discussion. Basically, we all put our 11s together and then we argue about who's right and who's wrong, and it's brilliant. Everton should be a fun one because they've had a couple of generations of players, and I think we're going to see all kinds of different stuff coming out. So yeah, look forward to that one, 7 p.m. with myself, Roz and Ronan. Then on Thursday night, EPLW is back for an extra show for these extra game week fixtures. Myself and Roz will be joined by Mus, Helder Costa and Tim. Not Mus, Helder Costa and Timmy. Mus, aka Helder Costa and Tim. Sorry, he's contractually obliged me to call him Helder Costa every time I say his name. Mus, Helder Costa. There you go. Anyway, I'm going on about nothing. So tweet us at EPLW Pod, subscribe to the channel, allow notifications so you never miss a stream, and we will see you on Wednesday night, Roz. Thank you very much for your company. It's been a pleasure. See you later, mate.
That's all, mate. See ya.